What are you running from? What are you really hiding from? We treat every single thing we're going through like it's all about competence. Once you've reached a certain level financially, you'll be competent. Once you reach a certain level relationally, whether it's through accessing or improving your physique or improving the ability to speak or improving your ability to connect with people, you will now have access to different things. However, this work started when you were younger, and the foundation said, okay, that's what this foundation said for me anyway. So when the foundation says this, okay, I have one or two choices, okay? Overwork, overperform, overplease, or create an environment where I'm simply trying to prove to myself that I will eventually reach a space where I'm eventually enough. The problem is, as life goes on, despite whatever this is, okay, I'm building based on a belief that isn't true. Because where does this belief come from? It comes from the rejection our parents showed us. It comes from the fact that you wanted love and you didn't receive it. It comes from the fact that when you wanted to make friends, you were rejected, and you now learned some things about templates. Okay? So the templates you establish say, number one, that because you were rejected, whilst you were genuinely trying to be kind, whilst you were genuinely trying to connect, what that clearly says is that you are not supposed to be authentic. So instead of being authentic, you people please. So as long as people get what they want, you will eventually get what you want. Right? And that's one of the templates. The next template is let's think of something. So because you're not enough, hard work. So because you're not enough, hard work plus effort is going to make up for another template. Why? Because you weren't enough when you were doing anything. So guess what? Whenever you're not doing anything, right? Guess what happens? The moment you're not putting in effort or hard work, you feel like you don't deserve it, you don't deserve to be there because you being still is not enough. Then, last but not least, whenever you feel criticized, now, I want to change this one. So you people please, your hard work, I'm probably going to go with, it was right in front of me the whole time. And then we have ego. And ego says that you need to be the best. Right? So because you're not enough, then being the best is what's going to protect you from not being enough. Because as long as you're the best, you not being enough compared to other people doesn't feel as bad. Right? So you've built a template. And this template has now carried your relationship, your business, and your identity. Okay? The question is, when it all comes down, this is the thing I want you to understand. You won't see this until you start to see the cracks. Because the cracks will reveal to you that something is off. But if you don't see the cracks, you're going to assume that the template you built as a child, based on a lie, is going to carry you to the end. It's going to build everything you need to do because as a man, what are we told? Provide, protect, and serve. Okay? So as a man, does ego allow you to serve? Yes, because you're going to serve to the best of your ability. Does it include effort, hard work? Absolutely. Because if I serve and I serve as a hard worker, I give my all. Okay? That will then eventually complete what I currently built. Then what else? Do I people please? Does that cover serving? Does that cover providing? Does that cover protect? Absolutely. So they're all adjacent with that very thing. So guess what happens with men? Because you've got the framework, it's not until you add the flow to it that you start to realize that there's some friction. This is why you may reach. I remember when I first reached my first 10,000. Okay, I got it week 1. I started thinking about 100,000. Okay, and when I reached my first 6-figure year, guess what? Started thinking about. Why? Because by the time I got there, I realized that it still wasn't enough. So the foundation you've built, everything you're currently working towards, says you're not enough. Your identity is not enough. And when it crumbles, guess what happens? You start to ask yourself this. Was I ever enough? Was this ever real? Did that even mean anything to you? Have you ever said that before? Because I know I have. Right? Because I was built on ego, effort, hard work, people pleasing. See, what happened is your inner child experienced that's called the big and small trauma. And in this big and small trauma, you basically experienced certain expectation and not getting it. So to protect your hopelessness, you created measures that say, okay, cool. Right, so since we're not enough here, since our parents left, since my biological mother left me because I'm not enough, then I'm going to people please so that I don't have to go through this again. And this is why I started the title by saying these are the questions that, because you're refusing to ask yourself, are ruining everything you're trying to build. And I need you to understand this goes deep, because I need you to understand that this is deeply ingrained. You don't see it until you're confronted with it. Until someone asks you, until someone like myself will come to you, sit you down and say, what are you running from? What are you really hiding from? Because your brain is wired to protect you from these things. You listen, you're emotional. This is another thing. Okay? Any day. Any freaking day. Your emotional brain will always exceed your logical brain. Why? Because your logical brain wasn't what built this. Your emotional brain built this and gave your logic an excuse to why they should keep this. Your logic follows your emotions. Your emotions lead all the time. This is why you can watch yourself lose weight. This is why you can watch yourself gain weight. This is why you can watch yourself do things that you said you weren't going to do, and your logic will make an excuse for it. Right? The only time this is able to be overridden is when you've wired yourself to make the hard decision based on your emotions, now finding this as a comfortable decision to make. So I'm giving a prime example. When I work with clients and I tell them to do a cold shower, the first session's hell. After a while it gets comfortable because they turn their discomfort into comfort. Now what I'm saying here is quite simple, okay? Because your foundation says you're not enough, you people please, you built hard work, you done the ego. Guess what happens when you're challenged? Okay, we're getting deep now. Guess what happens when you're challenged? Well, people please, method number 1, you get her flowers, you just do what she wants. You say, okay, what do you need? How can I serve you? How can I provide for you? How can I protect you? Right? When that doesn't work, you go into effort and hard work. You start to chase. I need to chase her. Hey, please don't run from me. Because your system has told you that one of these has to work. And when this doesn't work, what do you go? You go into ego. What does ego do? Ego says, you know what, I don't need you. You know what, screw you. I tried, I did everything. Where did that get me? What did that get me? I'm the best. I deserve better. And when that doesn't work, you crash. Because your system has failed you. This happened to me, okay, 5 times before I decided to allow my brain to rewire a brand new method, which is what I've built for you guys. The 3R system is based on my failures, based on this exact thing, failing 3 times. I need you to understand something, right? Until you change, let's see what we can do. Until you change the leader, okay, until this is changed, or this is going to carry on running the show. And the person running the show is the person that first observed and saw the template. You see, this is so powerful right now. You are the observer. You've just been sleeping because you thought you had a solution. You see, the child observed. You're a sponge. Okay? And when I work with clients, I literally take them back to this spot where they were a sponge and change what they freaking sponged. Because what you need to understand is that if I people please, and that's my template, guess what happens when I'm not pleased? I feel shortchanged. Because everyone should people please. Let me tell you something. If everyone can't do what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't do it. I'm going to say this again, quite simply. If everyone can't people please and get pleasing out of it, then don't do it. But guess what everyone does? If everyone's certain, guess what happens? Everyone gets what they believe they should get. So instead of people pleasing, you change the template. Okay? You change the template to what? What do you change the template to? I'm saying it like I'm in a classroom. But what do you change the template to? You change the template to authenticity. So now, you're no longer interested. First of all, before we even do that, we have to build a beautiful transition that makes the leader swap. The leader swap is when you parent yourself. You parent yourself by saying, I am enough. As I am. Because the person that was observing this believed a lie that no one confronted. This child saw a situation or scenario that led them into an outcome that allowed them to blame himself for something that did not happen or was not true. He was not supposed to believe that he wasn't enough. I wasn't supposed to believe that. But no one was there to tell me that. Because they also believe that too as well. So I am enough as I am is the new belief. And guess what? Because you're enough, you get to be authentic. Because you're enough. Instead of hard work and alignment, just give it away. Instead of authenticity, you do alignment. What does that mean? Well, you set a goal. It either aligns with whatever you're building with or doesn't. Because the foundation is authenticity. So I'm not going to lie to myself. And this is where I'm going. Okay? And then, last but not least, this is probably the most powerful one. Because the truth about ego is that it's built on fragility. This is what they don't tell you. Because in order for ego to exist, you need to compare yourself to someone else. Think about it. I'm the best. Who are you comparing yourself to? I'm the worst. Who are you comparing yourself to? If you need your template, and then remember what I said at the start, if everyone can do it, if no one can do it, then you probably shouldn't do it. So can everyone be aligned? Frick yeah, I hope so. Okay, so what is the alternative to alignment? Well, I'm telling you now, the alternative to ego identity. So in other words, who do you choose to be? Okay? So, I am enough as I am, but who's that person? That person is what we're going to figure out in the next video. But as long as you understand I am enough as I am, and you're authentic to that, you're aligned with that, your identity is aligned to that, guess what happens? Your leader is now able to navigate without feeling the need to pursue. So divorce now becomes, did they align? You can still serve, provide, and protect, but it's now based on authenticity, alignment, and identity. So guess who's protected? You are. See the happy face? Why? Because you're able to serve based on authenticity. You're able to, and if you can't serve based on authenticity, you don't do it. If you're not able to serve based on alignment, you're going to do it. Why? Because you're naturally, your dopamine is driven to achieve that anyway. So even though you're serving your wife, you're serving your child, you're doing it because you want to do it. Now, identity is also being served. So now, because you're saving based on who you are, it's no longer coming from a false place or a place where you're needing something from other people. Listen, all stability under pressure is recalibrating yourself so you can stop depending on people that never knew you needed their things in the first place. A lot of us men are indirectly looking for someone to solve a wound that we should have dealt with ourselves. And that's not going to happen. Why? Because they don't even know it's there. So instead of divorce, you're asking if they align. The question you've been too afraid to ask is what's driving your decisions. And until you recalibrate according to what we discussed in this video, you're going to carry on having your decision question, asking the wrong questions that will lead you to the wrong answers. But because you've changed the cause, okay, let's make him happier. Because you've made them happier, guess what happens? Your templates change because you're observing something different. And because you're observing, you get to respond. So, okay? And I want to wrap up with this, okay? Before you say, how do I do this? I can't change and I've been this person for so many years. I need you to understand something, okay? And I don't want to get too esoteric, but who I am okay? I am that I am is God's name. Who are we talking about here? So once you understand who God is, you understand who you are. I don't want to get too esoteric, but I need you to understand that what he's basically saying is that once you understand that who you are is Him, you understand that who that I am without acknowledging God, you're nothing. Okay? But because you acknowledge God, you're everything. So, in other words, you as an individual, you're just an individual who received a name from their parents, who was sent here as a steward to own something, okay? To steward something, correction. And because of that, you, my friend, you don't own nothing, gain, lose, hide, and that equals freedom. Okay, so you don't own nothing. You don't gain nothing, you don't lose nothing, you don't hide nothing. And because of that, you, my friend, gain freedom. Okay? Now, I want you to understand this quite simply is because you're going to come here and you're going to be forgotten. You're also going to come here and you're going to have an amazing experience. So focus on that, okay? Focus on the things you can learn, focus on the things you can observe. And this is why the key is understanding who you're supposed to represent while you're here. Because you're just a fraction of the creator and you're going to go back to him anyway, okay? So don't stress yourself too much. Treat it as a game. And most importantly, focus on being who you were called to be. Guys, and we're done today. Really hope this video has helped you. If you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis, the link is in the bio, and I will see you in the next one.